The woman at the centre of Victoria's deadly mushroom poisoning is in custody. Erin Patterson, who prepared the lunch that allegedly killed 3 people and left a 4th fighting for life, was arrested at her Leongatha home this morning. The 49-year-old will be interviewed by homicide detectives. So far, no charges have been laid.
Today's arrest is just the next step in what has been a complex and thorough investigation by homicide squad detectives, and one that is not yet over.
Today, Erin's home was searched with assistance from AFP technology detector dogs. They're trained to sniff out items such as USBs, SIM cards and hard drives. It was back in July that she hosted her ex-husband's family for lunch. Don Patterson, his wife Gail and her sister Heather Wilkinson all died after eating the beef Wellington that she served. Heather's husband Ian, a local pastor, miraculously survived. Erin too was briefly hospitalised.
In smaller communities such as Leongatha and Currumbara, a tragedy such as this can reverberate for years to come.
Erin says the mushrooms she used were bought from a supermarket and an Asian grocery store. She's always maintained her innocence.
I cannot think of another investigation that has generated this level of media and public interest, not only here in Victoria, but also nationally and internationally.
Dr Xanthe Mallett is a criminologist at the University of Newcastle and she's here with us to unpack the case. Xanthe, it's been 3 months since this story first came to light. What would have been happening behind the scenes in that time?
So we have to remember this is a multi-death investigation, so there would have been a number of avenues of inquiry the police would have been following. They would have been collecting all of the physical evidence, so they were obviously looking at any spores that may have been in that dehydrator that was sent off internationally for analysis to see whether the mushrooms had come from there. They also would have been speaking to friends and neighbours, building a picture of what was going on, and obviously, they had to wait until the survivor was well enough to be interviewed. So whilst it may feel like this has taken a long time, actually 3 months in investigation of this type is actually nothing. And I'm expecting it to continue as we find out more of what happened at that lunch.
There are also things that I found quite a revelation, like these super sleuth technology detector dogs. What kind of evidence would they be hoping to find, like in an old SIM card or a hard drive?
Well, that's the interesting question, isn't it? I've known of a lot of different detection dogs. You know, we have cadaver dogs, we have search and rescue dogs, we have dogs that look for money and drugs. But obviously they have intelligence because those are not the type of dogs you would take to a scene without having a very good reason. And they've had 3 months to really plan this search. So obviously they think something may have been hidden on a SIM card and then disposed of potentially outside, because these dogs were showing a lot of interest outside of the property.
I'm just thinking though, if I had information on a technological device that might be incriminating, I reckon in 3 months it wouldn't be there anymore. Like, you know, you just figure out a way of disposing it. Is it really going to yield anything to send them in now?
I would say, separate to this case, that, you know, people leave all sorts of evidence behind that you may think over those months, you know, they may have removed. So, you know, it is possible that things will still be recovered. Certainly the police think there may be evidence in this case, and that will come to light in the weeks and months going forward.
Well, the police are questioning her right now. If they've already interviewed her, what else would they be hoping to find?
Well, remember, they originally interviewed her quite early on in this piece. So since then, they've been collecting all of that other information. So since they've gathered that, they will want to re-interview her in light of the rest of the information they have collected to see whether they can really piece together what happened, because originally she was the only witness to this lunch until they could interview the one survivor. So they've been piecing it together in the meantime. So they've got a lot more questions for her at this stage, and they really want her to corroborate her earlier statements or explain some of those questions. You know, where did those mushrooms in fact come from? Were they bought from an Asian supermarket, for example, and if so, where? So they still have lots of questions for her, and they'll be going over and over and over that with her today.
Fascinating investigation, and we'll be following it closely. Xanthe, thanks for your time.
Thank you.